Imagine walking through the most advanced city the world had ever seen. The air is thick with the scent of sea salt and marble dust. You are surrounded by structures so perfect, so white, that they seem to glow under the Mediterranean sun. But here is the secret that changes everything. That pure white marble you see in every reconstruction. It's a lie. Every single statue, every grand temple, including the iconic Parthenon, was actually painted in blazing, clashing colors: reds, blues, and greens. For centuries we imagined the Greeks as a culture of pure white aesthetics, but the reality was far more vibrant, and to our modern eyes perhaps even gaudy. So, why does everything we see today look like this? And what did the city really look like when it was the beating heart of the ancient world? Today, using the latest archaeological evidence and artificial intelligence, we are going to tear down the myth of the white marble and rebuild Athens in its true dazzling colors. To understand the city at its peak, we have to start not with Pericles but with a ghost. In 480 BC, the Persian army swept through Athens and burned the old temples on the Acropolis to the ground. It was a national trauma so deep that for 30 years, the ruins were left untouched as sacred war memorial. But then, a leader emerged with a vision so ambitious it would change the course of history. His name was Pericles. He convinced the Athenians to build something bigger and better than before, using the treasury of the Delian-Lagan alliance meant to defend Greece. Essentially, he taxed the other Greek city-states to build a monument to Athenian power. This is where our AI reconstruction begins. We are standing at the base of the Propylaea, the monumental gateway to the Acropolis. But this wasn't just a door, it was a statement. Imagine approaching these massive columns, but instead of white, they are banded in deep blues and ochre yellows, capped with intricate red and gold patterns. You aren't just entering a sanctuary, you are entering an empire's trophy case. Pass through the gates, and your breath catches in your throat. The Parthenon doesn't just sit on the hill, it commands it. But again, forget the white. Our AI renders it in its original state. The columns are a warm, creamy white, but the frieze that runs around the building is a riot of color. Processions of horsemen and gods are painted in vivid detail against a deep blue background. The metapies, the panels above the columns, are blood red, making the sculpted battles pop with violent energy. But here's a detail the textbooks ignore. The Parthenon is optically engineered. Every single column bulges slightly in the middle. A curve called entisescent leans inward just a fraction. If the lines were perfectly straight, from a distance, the building would look weak and saggy. The Greeks, obsessed with perfection, bent reality to make it look right to the human eye. They were hacking visual perception 2,500 years before Photoshop. Now, look to your left. Standing nearly 10 meters tall, right next to the entrance, is the Athena Machos, a bronze statue so massive that sailors could see the sun glinting off her spear tip from miles out at sea. But we aren't here for the big statue, we are here for the erection. This temple is strange, asymmetrical, built on multiple levels. And on its south side it holds one of history's greatest architectural puzzles, the Porch of the Maidens. 6 statues of women, the Caryatides, stand gracefully holding the roof on their heads. They are beautiful, serene, but look closer at our AI model. We've removed the erosion and reapplied the paint. Their skin is not white marble, it's a realistic, creamy flesh tone. Their dresses are flowing with patterns of red and yellow. Their eyes are wide and staring, painted with dark irises. To us, they look like mannequins, almost terrifying in their lifeless stare. To an Athenian, they looked alive. They looked divine. Now, let's leave the sacred rock and walk down into the city itself. This is where the real people lived. The Agora. Imagine a sprawling marketplace, but it's also the political, philosophical, and legal center of the Western world. Socrates isn't in a quiet classroom. He is right here, barefoot, stopping people in the Stoa of Attalos, a long covered walkway with rows of shops. He's asking annoying questions to a group of young aristocrats while merchants haggle over olive oil and pottery next to them. The air smells of grilled fish, livestock, and unwashed bodies. It's loud, chaotic, and dusty. But look up in the distance, you see a constant reminder of why this city exists. The silver mines of Laurium. The wealth from those mines paid for the fleet that defeated the Persians and for the Parthenon itself. Money and art, as always, went hand in hand. Now, let's make a hard cut to the edge of the city. The cemetery, the Keramikos. Here lie the ashes of the great statesman Pericles. But right next to his grand monument, there is a simple stone marker for a woman named Phrygia. She was a slave. Here is the second secret Athens doesn't want you to know. For all its talk of democracy, this city ran on slavery. For every free citizen like Pericles, there were at least 4 slaves. That mathematician you admire, he didn't have to do laundry. That philosopher, he didn't cook his own dinner. The entire intellectual bloom of Athens was built on the invisible backs of enslaved human beings. The freedom of the few was funded by the bondage of the many. So, we have the painted temples, the optical illusions, the philosophers, and the slaves. But what happened to this place? Why did the color fade? For the same reason the Roman Empire fell: time, weather, and Christianity. When the Romans conquered Greece, they admired the art, but they often stripped it for parts. Later, when the Byzantine Empire adopted Christianity, the temples were converted into churches. The pagan statues were seen as demons. The Christian iconoclasts smashed the faces off the caryatides, believing the eyes held the devil's spirit. The paint was chipped away or burned off. Then came the Ottoman Empire, which used the Parthenon as a gunpowder magazine. In 1687, a Venetian mortar shell hit it, blowing the heart out of the building and scattering 2,000 years of history into rubble. Today, we look at the ruins and see a ghost, a beautiful white ghost. But thanks to science and AI, we can now see the ghost in color. We can imagine walking past the blood-red metapiece, feeling the gaze of the painted caryatides, and hearing Socrates argue over the noise of the agora. Pericles once said that Athens would be the school of Hellas, but standing here, in its vibrant, chaotic, brutal reality, you realize it wasn't a school. It was a living, breathing, flawed, and spectacular experiment. An experiment that still whispers to us from the stones. The next time you see a picture of a stark white statue, remember this. You aren't looking at ancient Greece. You are looking at a skeleton. The flesh was color. And now, you know what it looked like. But knowing what it looked like is only half the story. The real question is, how did this explosion of genius actually happen? How did a city of maybe 50,000 citizens produce Socrates, Plato, Sophocles, Euripides, and the very foundations of Western thought, all within a single lifetime? To answer that, we have to zoom in on one specific building. Not the Parthenon, but a modest, unassuming structure near the Agora, the Nix. This wasn't a temple for gods, this was a temple for a new god, democracy. 3 times a month, 6,000 male citizens would hike up this hill. They weren't asked to come, they were required. Slaves held a rope with red dye to herd them in. If your clothes had red stains, you were fined. You were expected to participate. Imagine standing on that stone platform, the bema, looking out at thousands of your peers. A man named Demosthenes is speaking. He's warning everyone about a rising power to the north, a king named Philip of Macedon. But here is the catch. In Athens, you didn't just listen politely. If you didn't like what you heard, you shouted, you heckled. If a speaker was bad, the crowd would literally vote him off the stage with a shouting match. Politics was a blood sport performed live. This constant, aggressive debate created a mental arms race. To win an argument, you had to be sharper, faster, and more logical than the next guy. This pressure cooker environment is what produced Socrates. He didn't write books, he just showed up in the agora and poked holes in people's arguments until they got angry. He was the original gadfly, annoying the powerful into thinking. But here is the twist that ended it all. Remember Demosthenes' warning about Philip of Macedon? Athens ignored him. They were too busy with their internal squabbles. And when Philip's son, a young man named Alexander, came knocking, the city that conquered the seas with logic and art was defeated by the sword. The Golden Age didn't end with a bang, it ended with a whimper, swallowed by the very empire it helped inspire. The colors faded, the voices went silent, and the marble turned white. But the echoes of those debates on the Nix, they never really disappeared. They became the foundation for our own world. And that is a legacy no amount of pain can ever erase.